Welcome to Spark's webinar series. Today, the topic is how transformations increase company valuations. Let's get started today with a quick introduction to Spark and then dive into the valuation discussion. The Spark team presenting today will be Christian Meinke, who is our specialist in sales and marketing. We have Per-Ola Andersson, who is our product manager and product specialist, and myself, Beth Topolowski, who is managing director of Spark. A quick introduction to Spark. Spark transforms tech companies through a process that we call a product-led transformation. This process is very product success focused, and it is our guiding light. It delivers product-led companies through our transformations. We work shoulder to shoulder and hands-on with the management team to ensure a product focus in the way they're working and a solid growth strategy. Each of us have decades of experience of working in highly acclaimed tech companies. So we've got the processes, we've got the templates, we've got the way of working. Okay, our agenda for today, we wanted to touch on how investors judge a company's performance. We'll also go into actions that tech companies can use and implement within their companies to build their valuations. Also, we must touch on transformations in general, and in particular, the product-led transformation as a tool for increasing the performance of your company. And we've got some really exciting real-life examples of how transformations have increased and impacted the share price of a company. And lastly, we'll go through some Q&A. All right, okay. Don't worry, I won't explain all these stock charts to you, although I do think they're quite interesting. But let's kick off the webinar by level setting on our use of the word valuation. We'll intermix the word between market valuations set by a regulated market, meaning a stock exchange, and valuations of unlisted companies or off-regulated markets where the valuation is set by a small group of investors. Valuation terms are not really interchangeable, but for the points that we want to make today, they will apply to both listed and unlisted companies. With listed companies, of course, your actions or lack of actions will show up more readily in your daily swings of the share price. So what makes one company more valuable than another? Why do some companies get highly rewarded in their stock prices from the smallest press releases versus other companies who deliver steady growth and good profitability, but their stock goes sideways? And why don't the financial fundamentals like strength of cash flow, earnings ratios, PE, PS, etc., give a full picture of the company's performance? And lastly, why do markets perform in exactly the opposite way of what we think they should do, like a rising stock market during a worldwide pandemic? We can all remember that. Hedge funds employ the biggest brains and the most powerful computers to decipher these complex and chaotic systems and answer these questions. Sadly, these questions won't be answered today in our webinar. As they say, if we knew those answers, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So we'd like to discuss and dive into a layer beneath the financial fundamentals and talk about the fundamentals of a company's performance that lead to higher valuations. These are the attributes an investor wants to see in a company. So let's dive into exactly what do the investors want to see. And again, I can frame this for listed and unlisted companies. So investors want to understand what your company does, why it exists, and the value you bring to your customers in a clear, concise way. And one statement I've heard from an investor is, if you can't explain in one sentence why I should invest in your company, I probably shouldn't. And I've also heard another investor say, if I can explain what you do to my kid, then it works. We've all heard that. Communication to the market. And here we say appropriate communication. The communication must be easy to follow, factual, uncomplicated. You must be transparent and avoid surprises, especially if you're communicating during times of turmoil. Additionally, your communication shouldn't require an engineering degree to understand how your technology impacts the market. Investors want to see a clear outlook of the future. Where's the company going? What's the excitement? What's a disruption that your product is going to bring to the market? Investors want to be on your growth story with you. So give them the vision and the exciting outlook. Growth, plain and simple, growth. Isn't that what investing is really all about? The investors want to see increased sales, increased announcements of new partnerships, increased announcements of new geographical regions opened. And it's really great to see profitability increases, but growth in many cases is more important. Visibility, the company must be visible. It must be present at the right conferences, have its digital presence in the right places. Investors like to see CEOs being interviewed on panels and selected as speakers along with their industry peers. It's really important to be out there and visible to the market and also industry. So in general, investors outside the company want to see things happening. New news, new hires, new customer acquisitions, new markets penetrated, new product releases. They want to see activity and updated news on the website. From an outside perspective, these are some of the basics of how investors judge a company. And really they're thinking about the future and growth. Can this company grow? Is there a future for it? How are their communications? Are they strong? Do I trust them? Do they seem like a credible company? And they just want to see things happen. If the website isn't updated, if it's static and stale, that is another indicator to the investors. So now let's talk about the actions a tech company can take in order to meet and exceed the expectations of the investors. We've selected 8 actions through our experience of working with listed and non-listed tech companies, but there are many, many more, of course. But we've just thought we'd take the top ones that we think really impact valuation. So first of all, ensure the CEO is the galleon figure in front of the ship. The CEO must project confidence, deep knowledge in her or his industry. The CEO must give a credible future vision of the company. She or he must demonstrate that they are completely on top of the market, deeply immersed, and can keep the boat steady while through the industry challenges. How a company presents their quarterly reports is vital. The management team must give clear and transparent explanation of the quarterly results. This applies not only to listed companies, but also when a management team is presenting to their board. You must take them through the story of the numbers. Explain the deviations in the numbers clearly and in simple terms. Spell out the current trends and educate your investors on the market forces impacting the business. The companies who succeed here give their investors new knowledge and insights. And Christian, I'm going to hand it over to you to take the next bullet point.
Yeah, thank you. And good morning, everybody. Companies that attract investors illustrate clearly that product values are woven in throughout the company. In these companies, investors see short-term actions and strategic decisions that supports a coherent story over time. The organization in these companies have a red thread, a common understanding regarding product and customer values. And therefore, positioning in ecosystem and value propositions are clear and easy to explain. Next one, please, Beth. We all know that investors love a great product. a product that is business critical and will scale. So when you have one, make sure that the marketing department is successful in creating awareness about your solution, its values and developments. To make this happen, it's important to have a focused and persistent marketing department with a skill set that is in line with their role, tasks, and set objectives. And these can vary a lot from company to company. This includes also frequent announcements of company successes, not overdone, of course, and the CEO presenting success stories in multiple venues and channels. Companies that succeed with these product messages have strong marketing playbooks, giving a solid framework for market messaging targeted towards key decision makers and also supporting them throughout their decision-making journey. We could take the next bullet, Beth.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point, I can't underline enough the importance of adapting to today's customer digital first buying behaviors. Today, it's more important than ever to be sure to make the first cut made by buyers, to make the first screening of vendors that is done mainly online. This makes it really critical to secure website presentability and readiness if you want to survive the first screening. This should be, of course, obvious for everybody, but you, as I, have visited companies' websites without understanding actually what the company does, what's sold, who they speak to, and what the values are that they are promoting. So please don't do the same mistake and miss important customer meetings due to bad online messaging. Over to you, Per-Ola.
Yes, thank you, Christian, and also good morning to everyone. Next bullet is really to ensure that the technology platform fits the business model chosen for the company. And there are very different requirements here depending on your sales strategy, whether you have direct sales or through resellers and VARs. The platform must also fit the different market segments requirements, can be different legal, regulatory, or just by history, different requirements on hosting, remote access, UI support, etc. Also, the platform must support a competitive pricing strategy, which also means that it needs to be flexible because you need to fight competitors that will try to hurt you with a different pricing strategy or pricing model. The second part here in terms of partner strategy, next bullet, Beth, is that you need a partner strategy to support your product development. Very few tech companies can do everything by themselves. So you need to have a well-developed strategy and action plans for external production resources and technology resources to be able to deliver according to your technical and product roadmaps. When it comes to straight sourcing requirements here, ensure that you always have a backup if the chosen #1 vendor does not suit your business model. And speaking about choosing technology partners, it's critical that product management is heavily involved here because we have seen numerous times that it's not really the technology that is the problem. It's the different views on the business and how you work together with companies that hurts you in your choice of the different vendors. And speaking of partners and vendors, I will hand over back to Christian here.
Yeah, investors, they want to see expansion plans and quick growth and actually realized in real life and not only in plans. And companies need usually resources from external partners, value-added resellers or others to make this happen. One should remember, though, trying to get these great resellers, that many companies have the same desire targeting and competing for the possibility to partner with the strongest resellers in the market segment. To succeed with partnering in short term and in the long run, there needs to be a well thought through partner strategy in place. And this should include positioning and company role in the partner ecosystem, a specific partner value proposition, which often is lacking actually. And this value proposition is very different from the one that is directed to direct customers. And also there should be a program for partner enablement and support in place. And you know, partnering should be a two-way cooperation. One should learn from partners, engage them in your development programs, and in that way tie them closer to your business. Back to you, Beth.
All right. So these are some tips that we have for tech companies. Maybe everybody doesn't have these in place, and if you don't have these items in place, maybe a transformation project might be a good next step for you. And now let's jump into a discussion about transformations and connect the dots to how they actually increase valuations. First of all, a short perspective about transformations in general, and given our decades of experience in the industry, we'd like to just share a few pointers. Before jumping in, I just want to say at Spark, we have two mottos. You'll never find the product values in a spreadsheet. And what this means is that transformations can't be done just from the financial and accounting perspectives. We admire our top big four accounting companies, but transformations must include the product values and that to be woven throughout the company. So our second motto is, without a profitable product, you'll never have a profitable company. So you can see with these two mottos that they give you a hint that we are true product people and believe the product must lead the transformations. Okay, Perola, let's talk about transformations.
Yes, thank you, Beth, and thank you for that lovely little creature that we see on the picture as well. So, if your company is not really performing as you expect, and you really have tried different ways to fix it, the full transformation of the company may be a very good choice. And here are some really key aspects on what to consider. First of all, it must be tailor-made to fit the needs and direction of the company. And it is critical here that the objective is clear, not only what we want to achieve, but why the specific transformation project is needed. And I cannot emphasize the why importantly enough. It is critical. Another thing is that the ambition level between the owners, the investors of the company, the management team, and the market's competitive situation, they must match. If you have a fierce global market with changing dynamics and hungry new entrants, it requires a much larger effort in terms of transforming the company, not performing to expectations. But then again, rewards can be really much higher, as you will also see later on in some examples we have. The process of matching the ambitions of investors with ambitious but realistic company capabilities and market characteristics is therefore key to a successful transformation project. We have a specific method we call leveling that we use for this. It must incorporate the entire company. For small and medium-sized companies, we find that a transformation will in fact impact everyone, which makes it key that this is planned from day one so that everyone feels really involved in the project, because it is a project for everyone. Everyone really must understand and be part of the project. Next, you need to get buy-in and require management team's leadership. And the important point here is really that it is the management team that is the real transformation leader. We as Spark, we coach and we help, but the real leader is the management team, and that also ensures that after the project, the management team will continue as successful leaders. Finally, according to us, it must focus on product success. And I will illustrate that a little bit later. But the key here is product success. We mean that everyone should understand how they contribute to the product success, which ultimately leads to company success. So in the next slide, I'll illustrate how we work with this. Product-led transformation is not as simple as in this slide. So this is just a starting on what we do. We enable product success thinking in all parts of the company. The key here is product success leading to customer satisfaction and being ahead of the market. So it always starts with what are your values, how are they perceived on the market, how do we attract customers, how do we make sure that everything from marketing through sales, through product development, and back to the support of the products. The product success thinking goes like a red thread through the whole company into the customers. And if you do this correctly, which we'll show later what happens then, you will end up with these key benefits of a good product-led transformation project. Next slide. You get the entire organization having a common focus. You get effective releases of new product features. You get high hit rate for sales and marketing. You get loyal customers and strong company brand. And if you have this in place, you will be successful in fighting the competition, and you will definitely grow the company. And we have some really interesting examples of this.
Great. This is the fun part of the presentation. We've got some real life examples of how we've impacted valuations in companies. And of course, we must start off by saying that, yes, the stock charts look fantastic and every investor's dream. We can't always say that Spark can take all the credit for the transformation valuation increase. Of course, the markets have a mind of their own, and it very much depends on what's happening in the market as well. So, but let me give the drum roll. This is one of the cases that went through a transformation. What happened in this company? Well, to start off with, the valuation increased about over 280% in this very short period of time, about 6 or 7 months. And the starting stock price was about 1.6, and it went to about 4.7, and it's well above 6 right now. What did we do here? We implemented a product management function. We see many companies that could really enhance their product management group. We did that with this case. We built routines and ways of working, including roadmaps, internal, external, and really worked on the product values. We established a new pricing model and updated the price list to enable the company to upsell with new features. So that was another really impactful item that we had done with this case. Customer segments and ideal customers were defined, went through lots of workshops to really get our arms around that. And this enabled the targeting of the highly relevant prospects and building a solid sales pipeline. There were many, many other items that were done in this particular transformation, but those are just some of the key ones, and it's quite fun to show the stock chart. And Christian, why don't you take the next case?
Yeah, here we had a development, as you can see in the left-hand corner, of development of 240%, a really positive growth for this stock value. And I would like to mention a couple of things that had huge effect on the company performance and also the value in the end, of course. Among other things, we transformed product values to attractive customer values based on in-depth analysis of key decision makers, pains, gains, dreams, and fears. We also worked with cross-functional teams to ensure understanding and contributions to product values and hence product success. And in this case, we also created a marketing playbook and applied a digital-first sales and marketing approach to comply with customers' changing buying behaviors. As a last point, I would like to mention also that we, in this case, implemented new sales operations management and changed and worked with the KPIs and changed them, pushing the company into the desired direction. Back to you, Beth.
All right, great. So this is the end of our presentation. A lot of information. We hope that you picked up some tips and tricks. And so now I'd like to stop sharing and then open the floor for questions. And I see we have one of them already. I will stop sharing here. And I see we have one already in the chat. Okay, that was a personal message. All right, so we had somebody had needed to drop off. Okay, great. Would you like to throw out any questions, either verbally or in chat? Please go ahead. We were pretty self-explanatory here. Okay. All right. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't go over time, and we hit it right on the head here with finishing at 9 o'clock. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Do you also do pricing strategies? Yes. Spark. Our focus within Spark is to address every aspect of what companies need in order to enable their growth and to build their valuations. We have a fantastic list of partners that we work with for different aspects of doing work within companies. It depends on the type of company and so forth, but yes, we do work on pricing strategy, and that's a big process. And we cover that as well, yeah. And how long does it take to get some positive visible result? That is excellent, Amanda. It does take time, and every transformation goes through a cycle, multiple cycles, emotional and productivity, where you start to see it takes some time for everybody to get their arms around what we're doing in the transformation, how we're going to execute, and making sure that we've got all the items together that we want to work on. And once that gets rolling, wow, the momentum just soars. It does take time to get the cost percolated throughout the company and into the supply chain and so forth. So it might take some time to get the cost measurement visible within the company. But as far as visible results, it can happen pretty quickly with the team being activated and really achieving small goals, and then they build and build and build. You guys want to add to that at all?
Not to that actually, Beth, but I have a question here about the hardest challenges you feel marketing teams, or it's about management teams, face during transformations. That's interesting. The major challenge here is really, we talked about buy-in earlier, and I think that's the one thing that for firstly to get the buy-in with the management team, and then them to spread it widely within the company. That could be one thing for the management teams. The other one is that one have to realize that this is a shoulder-to-shoulder thing, that you really appreciate working with external resources. So it's more like a mental thing, that you accept that they can come help from outside that can bring the company forward and make the transformation happen. Those are two things that I could just think about now. Maybe you can fill in.
I can add one thing there on the last thing, and that is really bring in external consultants. You actually do grow together, and realizing that is the key, and also for the management team to convey this to the rest of the organization, that And that's why I said one of the important part in the planning for transformation is that everyone will be involved, and therefore that needs to be taken care of. And that is what we do in our product-led transformation.
Yes, and that's a good point, Matthias, is to really understand what is needed to be done. That does take time, and we do a lot of different workshops and exercises to make sure that we incorporate ideas that the team wants to execute on, as well as being able to level with expectations from the investors board and the market, and being able to capture the position in the market that the company wants to. And to really understand and buy into that everyone in the organization will be involved. Absolutely, absolutely. When we hear about transformations just being on sections of companies, that might be okay in some cases, but we're also talking about mindset, speed, culture, values inside of companies when we're doing, when we're working on transformations, along with the technicals or the systems and the processes that we work on. So we have dual tracks there. So yeah, it's very important that everybody is involved. All right, okay, here we go. What is Spark's expected timeline for a successful turnaround? It depends on the company, and sorry to give you such a milquetoast answer there, but some companies need a bit more, have deeper issues that need to be vetted out, and some of them are quite quick. So we say between 4 and 9 months is a typical time frame for us. It's very important that, I mean, the transformation will continue. Companies should always be transforming. And where we feel successful is that towards the 9 months, if that's needed, and we're passing back over to the management team to take full responsibility, and we feel that there's no glitches. That's where we feel that it's a successful turnaround, and that should be about 9 months or so. Who typically decides to bring Spark in? Is it the board, owners, and or CEO? It's usually the owners who call Spark for our services. We then, of course, also work very, very closely with the CEO and the management team. We spend a great deal of time in the very beginning of our projects, ensuring that we've got a good level set, that there's a good understanding of what we do, educating and building a partnership. And we're there to be coaches and provide the structure, the templates, the processes, and not there to run the company. So it's much up to the management team to continue in the leadership, as well as being able to work the daily business. So it's a challenge, and everybody's got to stretch. But you can see we've got some really good successes with it. All right, good questions there. Let's see, any tips for minority shareholders or even middle management who've identified the need for transformation, but have it hard to convince? Yeah,
exciting question.
I'll let you guys take a stab.
Maybe
Go
want
ahead.
to talk about leveling here, because that's a tool that we have, that we actually compare market performance with company performance, and also the desires and demands from the board. And what we usually see is that the company performance, even though it can be sort of good, increasing with 10 or 15%, the market is growing 30 or 40%. So that's one cue to show the management team and the CEO that, hey, the market is running from us, and we are not fixing it. So that's one way to go ahead.
Yeah, I can just emphasize that, and we have been discussing with several companies, and their they think they have a healthy growth target on maybe 10, as Christian said, and 20%. But if you look at the specific market segments they are active in, they should be growing by maybe 40 to 50% per year. And as soon as you understand that is the growth you are looking for, then you need to have this transformation of the company to really focus on how can we achieve this, because we haven't in the past, and what are the actions, both strategic actions, tactical actions, and operational actions in the company. And that's why this product success thinking is really important.
Thanks, guys. All right. Any other questions that we can answer? Okay, those are all really insightful questions. It definitely involves who's the decision maker to bring in external expertise to run a transformation, who's involved, how do you get upper layers involved, how long does it take, what expertise is needed, and great questions. And I hope we were able to answer them today. All right, any last comments or insights or inputs or anything that we can chat about? No? Okay, great. Why don't we just go ahead and say have a good morning and a good rest of day, and pretty soon a good weekend. And we'll see you soon. Keep in touch with us. We're going to be doing many more webinars in our series, and we'll be talking a lot about product management and all aspects of product mindset within tech companies. So thanks very much, and have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.